Joey Ryan is one of the most controversial and polarizing wrestlers of the 21st century. He literally used his penis to get himself over with the fans, but he ultimately got cancelled for it too. During the Speaking Out movement in 2020, Joey Ryan had 18 accusations against his name for sexual assault and harassment, of which Joey denied all of these allegations. These accusations ultimately cost him his wrestling career, many friends and relationships that he cultivated over the years, and his reputation. These accusations basically destroyed his life and turned him into one of the most hated and detested wrestlers of the 21st century. Is this the case of a sick and perverted man getting his due for all that he's done? Or is this the case of cancel culture going too far and robbing an innocent man of his career? Is this the case of a man lying by saying that he's innocent just so that he can get his wrestling career back? Or is it the case of society running with an unproven and false narrative about a man who is actually innocent? Is this the case of a man whose overtly sexual gimmick was a sign of his perversion hiding in plain sight? Or is it just one big misunderstanding that is filled with lies and deceit? Does Joey Ryan deserve to get cancelled? Now, before people freak out in the comment section, the purpose of this new series called The Cancelled Files is to look at taboo or controversial topics as objectively as possible and come to a conclusion to them. Using my lore background, this series will look at cancelled topics and look at them from an unbiased point of view and without common social narratives that have been constructed and have been laid down as the incontrovertible truth without digging any further. In essence, we seek to uncover the truth. But without further ado, let's get right into the video. Joey Ryan was born as Joseph Ryan Meehan in 1979, and while he was growing up, he had a huge interest in professional wrestling. This eventually led him to start training to become a professional wrestler in his early 20s. He made his debut in 2000 and wrestled on the independent circuit. He was such a fan of 80s wrestling that he decided to model his professional wrestling look after 80s wrestlers, with a banging mustache and ravishing chest hair. He also got his fashion cues from popular 80s show Magnum P.I. Joey Ryan was actually one of the founders of popular American independent promotion Pro Wrestling Guerrilla (PWG), which is a promotion that has experienced a lot of success over the years. He has wrestled for a myriad of promotions like Ring of Honor, MLW, DDT, NWA, Lucha Underground, TNA, and more. He even appeared in WWE on several occasions as enhancement talent and as an extra. He achieved considerable success while wrestling in all these promotions and on the independent circuit. But, to be honest, prior to 2015, his career in wrestling was somewhat underwhelming if you look at it on a mega scale. But all that changed in 2015 when he took his career to the next level, kind of by mistake. While wrestling in Japan, he had a match in which there was a spot in which his opponent grabbed his crotch, and out of nowhere, Joey Ryan used the power of his penis to win the test of strength, and he flipped his opponent over. This is one of those times where the ridiculousness and fun of wrestling was on display, but in the best possible way. This 28-second clip of him showing the power of his genitals went viral, and he was featured in Vice, New York Times, Rolling Stone, and many other famous publications. And just like that, worldwide fame had fallen into his lap, and the King of Dong Style was born. Joey Ryan then started to use his genitals as a gimmick, and this got wildly over with the fans. Him and his genitals were living like rock stars, and he had the perfect look to match it as he wore aviators, skimpy neon floral briefs, a thick mane of oiled up chest hair, and a smarmy sheen of chauvinism when he strutted to the ring, peacocking his way through an infectiously entertaining caricature of retro machismo. Joey Ryan's antics centered around lewd antics, and he had a signature lollipop that he kept in his trunks that he took out and put it into his mouth and sometimes into his opponent's mouths. But what really got famous was the move that he kept on using, the dick flip. The more and more he used his signature offense, in which he used his genitals to overpower other wrestlers, the bigger he got. This run culminated in him getting a sponsorship deal with a major adult website, and now this move was called the U-Pornplex. Joey was also constantly wrestling women in intergender matches, so this dynamic of women getting overpowered by his junk was definitely something to see because of how crazy it actually was. Joey Ryan's penis gimmick was insanely popular and popped crowds all over the world, but of course, this mega popularity came with a lot of haters. This gimmick was polarizing as a lot of people saw it as an absolute joke and a disgrace to professional wrestling and was killing the business, while a lot of other people saw it as just a bit of fun that was necessary, seeing that wrestling has a tendency to be over serious. In this way, there was always constant chatter about Joey Ryan, whether people were hating on him or loving him, and this was always to his benefit as he was always relevant and his name and penis just got bigger. No pun intended. As time went on, he got more and more outrageous, hosting penis party wrestling events, mingling with adult film star Mia Khalifa in the ring, and incorporating inflatable penises into his gimmick, and even allowing people to touch his penis for money. Looking back at all of this, it's really actually absurd, but perhaps this absurdity was the reason why he got so famous in the first place. In the peak of his popularity, he even got offers from major wrestling promotions like WWE and AEW, but ultimately he rejected these companies out of the fear that they would water down his sexually charged gimmick. Joey Ryan was as famous as ever, making more money than ever, and the world was at his fingertips. But in June of 2020, his world came crashing down. At this time, the speaking out movement occurred, and this was a social movement in the wrestling industry against emotional, physical, and sexual abuse in the professional wrestling industry, where people publicized the allegations of misconduct committed by prominent wrestlers. Joey Ryan was arguably the biggest villain of this movement, as for a while, it seemed like every day there was a new allegation against his name. In total, he had 18 allegations against him by several different people. The internet inevitably cancelled him, and they were harsher than ever towards him. Due to all of these allegations, he lost absolutely everything. The venue where he had shows for his promotion that he created called Bar Wrestling refused to collaborate with him anymore, causing him to shut the promotion down. He was also fired from Impact Wrestling not so long after signing with them, and everybody he knew in the wrestling industry spoke down on him, including people that he had known for years and years and formed very intimate bonds with. Joey Ryan was clearly in the mud, and no one in the wrestling industry wanted anything to do with him. He was officially cancelled. We're here to uncover the truth, so let's look into the allegations against him, and judge each one by their own merit. The first two allegations against Joey Ryan are to do with Roxanne Perez, formerly known as Roxy. A women's wrestler called Hyan accused Joey of booking Roxy a day after her 18th birthday, just so that she could touch his penis. In defense of this, Joey Ryan revealed that the context of this was because it was part of a running storyline, and that she was always beating Joey before because she was underage and she couldn't feel the power of his penis. But once she turned 18, Joey's penis powers could be used on her. That sounds so weird to say out loud. Even though this is really weird, it was part of Joey Ryan's gimmick, which was wildly popular, and it made sense in the progression of the story. Even though it's quite a messed up storyline. At the time Roxy touched his penis in the ring, she was 18 years old, of legal age, and through text it seemed that she was very fine with it. So seeing that this is storyline based, the verdict in this case is not guilty. The next accusation was from Roxy herself, and she claimed that Joey Ryan was flirting with her, and he even told her, "I feel bad for flirting with you because you're 17. I could be your dad." She also accused him of after she turned 18, he tried to kiss her, but she rejected it. In Joey's defense, he corroborated the story and even admitted that it was inappropriate to flirt with a 17-year-old and to offer to make out with her when she was 18. He also said what matters is that he respected her when she said no. This case is pretty clear cut. Joey was clearly in the wrong, knowing that she was 17 at the time he was flirting with her. So for that reason, the verdict in this case is guilty. The next allegation was from a freelance producer / videographer called Danny M, who used to work on a lot of wrestling shows that Joey Ryan was on. She accused him of assaulting her in a bathroom at a wedding. Ryan's defense to this was that she performed a consensual act on him in the bathroom, presumably oral. And in the days, weeks, and months after this incident, with screenshots to prove, she sent him texts propositioning him with threesomes with her boyfriend, threesomes with her friends, and she started telling him when her boyfriend was out of town so that she could see him. She also asked him out on dates repeatedly and was just generally trying to hook up with him. Now in this case, common sense would tell you that if she were to get assaulted on that wedding night, then why would she try to hook up with him even more after this? So for this reason, for this case, the verdict is not guilty. In the fourth case, Joey Ryan was accused of propositioning a male fan to touch his genitals at a merchandise stand, as well as propositioning to grab his genitals. Joey Ryan had certain $30 specials sales for fans to touch his genitals, but apparently this incident fell out of that scope. Joey's defense was that he only does this for fans who pay him, and he wouldn't do it at a regular merch table. This one's a bit up in the air, as it's his word against his, so the verdict on this case will be inconclusive. The next allegation against Joey Ryan is from Cora Jade, formerly known as Elena Black, who accused Joey Ryan of sending inappropriate DMs to her, in which she claimed he was using his power over her. And in Joey Ryan's defense, he revealed the DMs between the two, and from looking at the DMs between the two, nothing was overtly inappropriate. Perhaps the most inappropriate thing he said to her was when he implied that he would sneak her into a bar, seeing that she was only 18 at the time, and the state that they were in's drinking age was 21. Besides this, the DMs were pretty vanilla, and there was no concrete proof of inappropriateness or him using his power over her. For this reason, the verdict for this case is not guilty. In the 6th allegation against him, an anonymous woman accused him of using his friendship to assault her. The woman who accused him had some very serious allegations, and she implied that she was almost raped by Joey Ryan, and she said that she felt powerless to Joey's advances. In defense, Joey Ryan said that they are best friends and that their relationship was purely platonic until they spent time in a hotel room. He said that they began uncharacteristically spooning and grinding on each other, and she did not want him to remove her pants, but instead she agreed to move Joey's pants, and she performed a consensual act on him. She claimed that Joey fell asleep, but he says that he actually left the hotel room. He says that the next day after this they both regretted it, but they still hung out afterwards, on several occasions, just the two of them. He questioned why she still hung out with him despite claiming that she was afraid of him after the incident. Once again, this is one of those situations where no one knows what really went down between them in that hotel room that night. She might still have been hanging out with him afterwards because they were working with one another, or she was afraid to report it. So for all of these reasons, the verdict in this case is inconclusive. The 7th allegation is from a woman called Corinne, who accused him of being inappropriate with her in a car ride. In Joey's defense, he admitted that he doesn't remember much of this night, and he also admits to being aggressive on the road towards women, even though he was married at that point because he only had one night in each town, and he wanted to make the most out of it and make something happen. He apologized for invading her personal space, and she accepted his apology. This one is pretty clear cut, and Joey Ryan even somewhat admitted to being inappropriate with her. So the verdict on this case is guilty. The 8th allegation is a lot like the last one, and it was from an English ring announcer called Charlie, who accused him of invading her personal space. In Joey's defense, he admitted that he doesn't remember this, and he admitted that he does become aggressive on the road. So for all of these reasons, the verdict in this case is guilty. The 9th allegation is from Allie Katch, who accused Joey Ryan of sexually assaulting her. Joey Ryan defended himself by saying that he, Allie Katch, and another women's wrestler had a very consensual threesome, of which Allie Katch even bragged about. Ryan even said that the other woman can corroborate this story. He then said that they wrestled at a later date, and he said that if she felt traumatized, she wouldn't have been eager to do the match. Considering that their sexual contact was through a threesome and there was another witness there, it's very likely that this was consensual. Joey Ryan even later filed a lawsuit against Allie Katch for these claims, and he actually won the lawsuit against her. So for this reason, the verdict for this case is not guilty. The next allegation is from a wrestling writer and editor called Danielle Matheson, who accused Joey Ryan of using mental health issues to assault her. In Joey Ryan's defense, he admitted to confiding in her regarding issues with his wife, and he also admitted that they shared a hotel room, and he revealed text messages that proved it was her idea to share the hotel room, and that she had consented to share her bed with him. None of this means that Joey Ryan had the right to allegedly assault her though. Something interesting to note with Danielle Matheson was that she was also legally required to retract the statement she made where she falsified information she made about Trent Seven. None of this actually proves that Joey Ryan did or did not assault her that night, as the two of them are the only ones who know the actual truth. So for this reason, the case is inconclusive. The 11th accusation against Joey is from a wrestler called Pele Premio, who claimed that Joey Ryan was actively pursuing his fiancée and was influential in their breakup. He further went on to say that Joey assaulted his fiancée on a Tinder date in 2015. Joey's defense to this was that he didn't even know who the man was and he wasn't on Tinder during that time, so it was impossible for him to go on a Tinder date. He even says that his longtime friend and riding buddy Candice LeRae could corroborate this. In this case, the claim would have had more weight had the woman in question came forward and made the allegations, but she did not, and this could be the case of a scorned lover trying to get revenge. So for all of these reasons, the verdict in this case is not guilty. The next allegation is from his ex-girlfriend called Victoria, who is an adult film star. She accused him of hurting her during intercourse, and Joey's defense was that she liked it very rough and she asked him to do various things that he wasn't comfortable doing, like slapping, spanking, spitting on her, choking her, and more. He claimed that he wanted to be a considerate lover and do these things that he wasn't always into, and she complained that he choked her too hard one time, and Joey says that this was all part of their crazy sex life. He also called their relationship very toxic. This seems like it was a very turbulent relationship that had very not vanilla things going on in the bedroom, and considering this relationship is apparently quite toxic, the verdict for this case is inconclusive. The next allegation is from a women's wrestler called Gracia, and she said that Joey Ryan was inappropriate towards her in a hotel room. Joey's defense to this was that he misread her signals and he presented a plethora of messages from her, bombarding his phone on top of commenting on his stories a lot, trying to call him, trying to get him to hang out a lot, and spending a lot of time trying to talk to him online. From these messages, it seems like Joey Ryan wasn't too responsive of her advances. However, this led to him trying to hook up with her at a hotel room one night and she said no, and he respected her wishes and didn't pursue her any further. Looking at the evidence, this is the case of misreading signals, and what's important is that Joey respected her boundaries after she rejected him at a hotel. So for this reason, the verdict on this case is not guilty. The 14th accusation was from an anonymous women's wrestler who accused Joey of assaulting her in a hotel room. In Joey's defense, he said that they bonded over their respective separations from their partners and they shared a kiss that had her worried over people seeing it. He said that they went on to do shows together and he took her on a date the day before a show, even though she was feeling sick. On this date, they went out, had drinks, and went back to the hotel room. They began to have intercourse, of which Joey Ryan believed was consensual, due to the comments she made throughout the night. For some reason, she began to panic, and Joey says that he stopped because she asked him to, and checked on her before leaving. He says that they continued to wrestle each other after this incident, and a week after the supposed incident after a wrestling show, they shared a drunken kiss. Considering all of this, it's impossible to tell if her panicking and stopping the intercourse was due to her feeling assaulted. Joey does claim that he stopped when she felt uncomfortable, so this one is quite hard to discern. Even though they still wrestled after this and kissed, it doesn't mean that the assault didn't happen. It could be that she was too scared to report it. So for all these reasons, the verdict in this case is inconclusive. The 15th accusation is from a women's wrestler called Vanessa Craven, who claimed that Joey pressured her for sex and used his power for personal gain. She also had a problem with the way she was filmed in the Joey and Candice show, of which Joey filmed. Joey's defense to this was that he never used his power, and he believed that the flirting was mutual and he admits to invading her personal space during a kiss, with which he used his hands to caress her body. He also said if he inappropriately filmed her while filming the Candice and Joey show, it was because of how he had to hold the camera and because she is taller than him. He also apologized for this incident. This situation is pretty unclear, considering that there was clearly something going on between them, so the verdict for this case is inconclusive. The next allegation is from Stella and Aaron of the Not Your Demo podcast, who said that he was inappropriate towards them. In this situation, they seemingly propositioned Joey for a nude podcast in which they would all be naked, and Joey being Joey, he actually got naked in front of them, and they freaked out and they told him that they didn't want to do it anymore. He then apologized for this. Him and one of the podcast hosts then went on to have sexual relations afterwards. This one's a little tricky because why would they proposition him for a nude podcast and then when he actually does it, they get upset about it? There's many question marks around this, so for that reason, the verdict in this case is inconclusive. The 17th allegation was from a woman called Kitten, who accused Joey Ryan of being inappropriate with her at a bar when she was 16 years old. In Joey's defense, he said that he freaked out when he found out that he was flirting with a 16-year-old, and he also wondered why a 16-year-old was drunk and in a bar. He also admitted to inviting her to hang out after the incident with him and Candice LeRae, because he didn't want her to feel traumatized. Even though Joey Ryan didn't assault the teenager, it's weird that he was flirting with a 16-year-old in the first place. But in the same breath, the liability should be on the bar for allowing a 16-year-old in and allowing her to drink with grown adults. It's important though that Joey Ryan backed off after he found her age, so for this reason the verdict is not guilty. The 18th and final allegation is from a women's wrestler called Jade, who claimed that he came onto her strong after a wrestling show. In Joey's defense, he claimed that he was never told to back off with his flirting and he apologized for invading her personal space. What's important here is that he respected her decision when she said no and backed off when she rejected him. So for this reason, the verdict is not guilty. So in total, Joey Ryan is justifiably guilty for 3 accusations, 8 are not guilty and 7 inconclusive. But to be honest, this does not really matter as you can make a judgment for yourself. Now it's important to clarify that clearly Joey Ryan struggled with womanizing, sexual deviancy, and clearly had a sex problem. That probably explains why he's currently enrolled in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. Joey Ryan did not break any legal laws and that's why there are no criminal prosecutions against him, but he did break social laws that we have constructed as a society, and those are just the consequences for doing what he did in this day and age. There's absolutely no way for him to get back into the wrestling industry, and his past has followed him even more now as he was fired from Disneyland because of his past. It's unfortunate to see such a talent go to waste, but those are the times and climate that we live in. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other videos, but anyway, goodbye.